Welcome to Shadow Uncovered, where hidden secrets, forbidden truths, and the world's darkest mysteries are finally brought to light. Wealth, power, and influence. J.P. Morgan had it all. He owned the first billion-dollar company. He dominated the country's most profitable industries. And on multiple occasions, the entire economy of the United States literally depended on one man's actions. There will never be another man quite like J.P. Morgan. This is his story. Chapter 1. A sickly start. John Pierpont Morgan was born in Connecticut in 1837 into a privileged family. His father was a wealthy banker who ensured John received the finest education money could buy. But John's childhood was bleak. He suffered from brutal coughing fits, migraines, seizures, and scarlet fever. At one point, his father sent him alone to the Azore Islands, believing the climate would help him recover. John stayed nearly a year without any family. By 1857, John landed a job on Wall Street through his father's connections. But early on, his father worried John was too rash to succeed. This seemed justified when John used company money to buy an entire shipment of Brazilian coffee without a buyer, then sold it for profit. His bosses hated the recklessness despite the result. In 1861, John struck out on his own and married his first love, Amelia Sturgis. But Amelia was soon diagnosed with tuberculosis. John took her on an extended honeymoon, hoping a new climate might save her. It did not work. Amelia died just 4 months after their wedding, leaving John a widower at 24. He never truly recovered and threw himself completely into work. Meanwhile, the Civil War had broken out. John paid $300 to avoid enlisting, then profited from the war by purchasing 5,000 surplus rifles from the government for $3.50 each and selling them straight back for $22 each. Over 600% markup, lucrative but deeply unpopular. Chapter 2. The Railroad Magnate. In 1871, John teamed up with banker Anthony Drexel to found Drexel Morgan and Company, the firm that would eventually become J.P. Morgan Chase. John identified his first major target: American railroads. Unlike steel or oil, which were dominated by single giants, railroads were fragmented with countless companies constantly slashing prices. Where others saw chaos, John saw opportunity. His strategy was consolidation, merging railroads rather than competing. Bigger companies could set their own prices and crush remaining competitors. This approach became so associated with him, it was named Morganization. John craved control. He reshaped the leadership of railroad companies, assembled them into monopolies, and placed himself at the head of the table. When companies came to him for help, he refused unless given full control. Before long, John owned 1/3 of all railroads in America, at a time when railroads represented 60% of the entire stock market. Chapter 3. The Man of Steel. In 1901, Carnegie Steel was the most dominant company in America, netting $40 million a year. Carnegie wanted to retire and sell. John told him to name his price. Carnegie said $480 million, the largest business deal in history. John agreed on the spot and later admitted he would have paid $100 million more. John merged Carnegie Steel with Federal Steel and several other companies to form US Steel, the world's first billion-dollar corporation. This gave John control over 2/3 of American steel production. Two of the largest industries in America, steel and railroads, were now in John's hands. He also helped to create General Electric and what would later become AT&T. Chapter 4. Saving America Twice. In 1893, America plunged into a devastating depression. Stocks lost nearly half their value. Thousands of businesses collapsed. Hundreds of banks went bankrupt. Foreign investors drained US gold reserves rapidly. By 1895, the government had just $9 million in gold left, dangerously close to defaulting on its loans. With no central bank to intervene, John travelled to Washington and presented his plan to President Cleveland. He proposed forming a private syndicate to purchase $65 million worth of gold bonds and stabilise reserves. Cleveland agreed. John wired his team, and in just 22 minutes, every bond was bought. Markets stabilised immediately. John had single-handedly saved America, while making a significant profit in the process. Then, in 1907, crisis struck again. Banks teetered on bankruptcy. Citizens lined up to withdraw their savings. Even President Roosevelt, who despised Morgan, had no choice but to call on him. John summoned the leading financiers to his private library on Madison Avenue and presented his plan: inject massive capital into struggling banks to restore confidence. Then he locked the door. Nobody left until they agreed. By morning, everyone had signed on. The US Treasury contributed an additional $25 million. Another disaster was averted. John was 70 years old, negotiating all of this while suffering from a terrible cold. Chapter 5. Legacy. But each time John saved the economy, the same uncomfortable question returned. How had America allowed itself to become so dependent on a single private banker? Public anger at Wall Street grew. John was summoned before the Pujo Committee, which investigated the true reach of financial power over the American economy. He became the public face of everything people feared about concentrated wealth. His mental health deteriorated. He suffered multiple nervous breakdowns and struggled with the media's increasingly negative portrayal of him. He had been scheduled to board the Titanic for its maiden voyage, but pulled out at the last moment due to health issues. The Pujo Committee ultimately paved the way for the creation of the Federal Reserve, a direct response to the realization that a nation could not keep relying on one powerful man to rescue its economy. But John never saw it. On March 31st, 1913, the 75-year-old financier died while on vacation in Rome. His son took over and continued expanding the business. Today, JP Morgan Chase holds an estimated $3 trillion in assets, making it the largest bank in the world, built on 200 years of exactly the kind of consolidation John pioneered. Opinion on John Pierpont Morgan will always be divided: opportunist or patriot, visionary or monopolist. Probably all of these things at once. What is beyond debate is that no single private citizen has ever held more power over the American economy, and the world he built is still very much with us today. Thanks for watching Shadow Uncovered. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next mystery we uncover. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram and Telegram for exclusive content, secret updates and behind-the-scenes reveals. Stay connected, because the shadows always uncover the truth.